My name's Donald Dunbar and I've been involved in a farm advisory service project at Bielgrange Farm. The project is under the Soil and Nutrient Network Farms, and we had 3 meetings over a 12-month period looking at making better use of nutrients in both arable and the livestock grassland situation.
I'm Niall Jeffrey from Bielgrange Farm in East Lothian. Bielgrange is a mixed farming business with 300 hectares of arable, mainly in combinable cropping. We also have a hill farm, which is about 240 hectares of grazing, and we run 250 Aberdeen Angus cross-suckler cows there, and all the followers are finished and housed at Bielgrange through the winter and graze through the hill farm through the summer.
So Neil, firstly, what were you looking to get out of it?
So I felt that my kind of knowledge and understanding of soil was maybe falling a bit behind, and I really wanted to get more in touch with how we were using nutrients in growing combinable crops.
So we started the project with our first meeting, and we did a bit of GPS sampling for pH, and that was interesting because it did reveal some quite big variation within the field, which we didn't expect to find. The other thing we also looked at was soil health, in a kind of broad way, in terms of you consider the chemical, the biological, the physical. Chemical being the soil analysis, the biological was doing a worm count and also measuring mineralizable nitrogen. So it's a proxy measure for microbial action. We added organic matter into the analysis to get a benchmark really of where you were. And then the other thing we did was the physical, looking at the structure. Our second meeting looked at making better use of mucks and manures. You have farmyard manure already because of your cattle.
We produce our own farmyard manure.
You have a next door neighbour who has pig slurry, and you had been utilising some of that. From that meeting, I think for me, I felt that you then decided, right, I'm going to try and replace inorganic with other organic manures.
Yeah, almost certainly. I think replacing the bagged fertiliser bought onto the farm was definitely something that I was looking to try and do, and I think having done the project, we've definitely got a plan in place for doing that.
And from that meeting, you looked at black draft.
Yep, and mushroom compost as well. Available in the area. So between the second and third meeting, we managed to set up a licence, so we now can take black draft, which is being used as an agricultural fertiliser, and we're going to spread it on about 50 hectares.
So the analysis of the black draft is there's about 11 kilograms of nitrogen, 3 of phosphate. There's a very small amount of potash, just 0.35, and there's a bit of sulphur in there, 1.73 kilograms per tonne of fresh material. It's a good material to bring in a bit of phosphate, and it's also bringing in a bit of organic nitrogen.
We've got a bit of mushroom compost as well, which I think we'll have about 500 tonnes of that coming. We'll spread that on areas that phosphate indices were slightly high for the black draft, so we use that in those areas instead. That's going on at 20 tonnes a hectare as well.
Okay, so mushroom compost, we've got 6 kilograms of nitrogen, 5 of phosphate, 9 of potash and 8 of sulphur. So it's going to help you on your potash side of things. It's going to help balance up. And I guess the objective was, if you're going to reduce a lorry load of P and K, of bagged inorganic P and K,
yep,
how are you going to balance that? How are you going to bring that nutrient back in? In terms of bringing on the 1,000 tonnes of draft, 500 of mushroom compost, that goes a long way towards it. And in my little calculation, you need to bring in about 1,500 cube of slurry. If it goes on at 25 cube a hectare, that would need to cover about 60 hectares of ground.
We have the option of umbilicaling some pig slurry onto a couple of fields that are within reach of their umbilical system. So we'll try and get that onto the growing crop as well, so it's better utilised.
In our final meeting, we talked about organic matter and phosphate absorption.
And where your soil indices are, and potentially where you should keep them as opposed to applying more to try and move them.
So we've reached the end of the project. What are the key things that you've taken from it and plan to take some action on?
So the first thing is definitely buying less inorganic or bagged fertiliser onto the farm. Secondly, better use, more efficient use of the organic manures that we produce. We will bring alternative sources of P&K on, so mainly organic sources of P&K on, to replace the bagged fertiliser that I'm not bringing on. In terms of the pig slurry, we're actually hoping to use more of that on growing crop so that it's being utilised by the crop in season as opposed to putting it on a stubble. And finally, on the hill farm, the soil is naturally low in phosphate, so we're now switching to use DAP up there and not just putting ammonium nitrate on every year, actually kind of trying to increase the phosphate levels on the grass.
So that brings us to the end of the video and the end of the project of the Nutrient Network Farm. Further details can be found at the FAS website about the Soil and Nutrient Network Farms, also other projects that have been undertaken, technical notes and information about future meetings.